unless anything short of a miracle, this Rigathi Gachagua impeachment is likely to be very costly to the Kenya Kwanza regime, and the possibility of William not making it a second term. Well, I think this crossfire is too dangerous for any politician in central Kenya or Mount Kenya area. Those who will survive perhaps are those from the eastern part of the mountain. Asudi may survive, but Ishungwa, his deal is over. He's also pensionable.
Truly delighted to have you on Richard Mwenja Exclusive. The month is October, the year of our Lord 2024. So much happened in this country. We are talking about the impeachment of DP Rigathi Gachagua. The entire process has not come to an end. There are still many steps ahead. We want to see how all this is going to pan out in the fullness of time. And who better to help me break down such conversations and give you a better understanding of them all than this renowned think tank. He has served this country in many capacities, but the epitome of it was him serving as Minister for Agriculture at some point. I'm talking about Cherangani's biggest export, the first of his name, the gentleman himself, Ruto Arab Kirua.
Yeah.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm only worried about my country.
Perhaps why you have low energy on the show today?
No. The energy is out of the fact that it's an afternoon. Yeah, and you see, when you get to my age, you need to rest in between. But it's okay. I'm sure the issues are clear. And we should be able to distill every issue with a view to getting to a position that we are a better Kenya than the Kenya of yesterday. Yeah.
Today is Mazingira Day. Many people planting trees across the country. The president walking the talk on climate change. Do you applaud him for literally going big on environmental conservation? And have you planted a tree today?
Well, I planted some, you remember. Was it 28th?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we planted 4. I think it will cover for today. The ones brought by my good friend, Miano. Yeah, we used to call him Kariuki, Kabuiku, Miano. But now I realize the name Miano is less used. So he's a conservator himself, and he brought some nice seedlings. We planted. They are struggling with the sun, but we are watering. So I will water them when I get back home. Yeah.
But are you proud of the president's efforts towards climate change this far? Going to summits, looking for financing, and bringing it down home and channeling it at the grassroots level?
It's useful. It's a very useful gesture, but I just do hope it is all in the national interest of Kenya. I do hope nobody is going to do some games about the money they are mobilizing. You see, they say the taste of pudding is in the eating. How that money will be spent is when I will applaud him or condemn him, depending on how he uses the resources. Because those are not his resources. They are our resources. He has temporary custody of apparatus of leadership and state. And anything he is doing should also be aware that Kenyans are vigilant. They are watching him today. They might catch up with him today, or they may catch up with him a few years down the road, because nothing will go for nothing. Yeah.
It makes sense. That off the way and straight to our main conversation for today about the DP's impeachment. And how about we start with the realities of today's Kenyan politics? And I want to understand this. When you're talking about political arrangements and people coming together to clinch power, would you say that the biggest threat nowadays has not even been you two coming together, but rather the fickleness of political allies, that in the fullness of time, it's about how you keep your circle united?
You know, for me, I believe democracy must start with institutions. And the weakness that we've had as Kenya, and to a certain extent as Africa, is that we have not built strong institutions, whether it is political parties, whether they are institutions of government, such as judiciary, legislature, and the executive. All of them are weak, and therefore subject to direction by individuals who are seen to be powerful in that particular regime. The second issue is that we still got politics that surround, that gravitate around an individual. So either the other day when Raila and Ruto sit down and agree we want to work together, it is like there is a change in Kenya for the better just because supporters of each of the two guys believed that now heavens have come. You cannot understand that 2 years down the road, or 2 years earlier, the two individuals were not calling each other very nice names. You remember the president saying that there is no way I'm going to work with Raila, describing the Nusumukate, describing the cooperation, describing the, handshake, and making handshake the only problem that was in town. And it took Uhuru about 7 years to work with Raila. But it has taken William Ruto 2 years to work with Raila against his own deputy president. So the issue is, don't rely on an individual. Rely on institutions and God the Almighty. Relying on individuals is not enough, because you see, as long as institutions are weak and individuals are fickle in terms of their loyalty, we are likely to build very unstable system in Kenya. That's why first democracy must start with political parties. Democracy must pervade the atmosphere of the nation. Democracy must be lived by those who win and those who lose. Why I was not happy with Raila donating 5 so-called experts to the government of the day is that we must accept that when you lose an election, you have lost and somebody else has won.
Make peace with it.
Make peace with it. And winning or losing an election should be the same. I should not say every election I must win. I've done 7 elections. I won 4 consecutively.
Back to back?
Back to back for 20 years. Then I've lost 3. And that is a democracy. For me, we must accept losing or winning an election is a democracy. But it's not democracy when you win and rigging when you lose. Yeah.
It makes sense. During, after the deputy president addressed a presser from his residence a day before he went to defend himself, thereafter we saw majority leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, describe Rigathi Gachagua as a man with a very black heart, and that there was need for him to be treated with contempt and with much caution. I want to understand, to what do you owe this deep difference between Kimani Ichung'wah and DP Rigathi Gachagua?
Well, there must be, you see, for every dog that barks in town, perhaps there is the owner around the corner.
Kimani Ichung'wah could be working under the whims of someone else?
Yes.
Who could be the choir master in this case?
The appointing authority. Who made him the majority leader? It's not members of parliament from Kenya Kwanza or from UDA. It is William Ruto. So is the choir master.
So in this orchestra that is singing aloud the need to impeach Rigathi Gachagua, the choir master is President William Ruto?
Yeah, he's the sponsor of the motion.
But he hasn't come and admit that boldly. Is he doing that in silence?
Well, things, you know, at times there are things that you can see and things that you can be told. He must have given that motion tacit approval or total approval, so as to get rid of what he believes is the man messing with the till. Yeah.
Many would have expected Ndindi Nyoro to be part of those people you are calling attack dogs being used by the President William Ruto. But Ndindi Nyoro was absent during the voting to impeach Rigathi Gachagua in Parliament. Not just him, we also saw Babu Owino being absent during that particular vote process. Would you attribute this to political cowardice or political strategy?
Well, partly, I think for Ndindi Nyoro, it could be one of the 3 things. One, perhaps even the regime may be sparing him for a position that to replace Rigathi Gachagua. That could be one of the possibilities. The other possibility is the fact that possibly he himself wants to live to fight another day. The third issue is possibly does not believe Gachagua merits impeachment. For Babu Owino, I cannot explain, but possibly if the party whip was in that particular direction, he might have decided, instead of just fighting somebody without getting convinced why I have to impeach him, he kept away for convenience, or possibly, you know, some of those guys said absent. Actually, I know one of them is out of the country for treatment. So, and some of them we never know. You know, members of parliament travel every other afternoon. So possibly some of them are out of the country. Babu Wino, I don't know whether he's in the country. Because I know Babu Wino may not have believed in that, because Babu Wino has not even associated with this rapprochement between Raila and William Ruto. Yeah.
It had been a while since we saw Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi in Parliament, but that day he was at the National Assembly chambers and he voted yes for the motion to impeach Rigathi Gachagua.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to understand, why do you think Oscar Sudi, this impeachment call was so dear to his heart? And in the present day politics, would you say that is the latter day Nicholas Bigot, sort of a total man when it comes to political strategy and moves?
William Ruto does not have permanent friends. He has working conveniences. Remember in the by-election that Cheruiyot became a senator for Kericho. They were not working together with William Ruto. Sudi and another, I think, Alfred Keter. So Sudi is there for convenience. When his time is up, he could be gotten rid of.
Regardless of the house secrets that he knows of?
Well, I don't know how many secrets does he know.
But Moi stood with Nicholas Bigot to the end of time.
Moi was a formal person, and he's a man who believed in systems and believed in relationships. William Ruto is the opposite. He does not believe in systems. Relationships, as long as you are serving his interest, you are okay. The moment you are not serving his interest, he can dispense with you in whichever manner he wishes.
So then are you signaling that even the motion that was sponsored by Mwengi Mutuse, Kibwe's West Member of Parliament, it could have also not been a genuine concern of Mutuse? It was coerced by some other forces, but it was used as a sacrificial lamb to sponsor the motion.
I don't want to use the word coercion. I think I would prefer to use to use the word persuaded, or nudged, or probed. And you know, when you are probing somebody, there's a bit of exchange that takes place. Nice words, generally making somebody comfortable, and giving him some money. I'm not saying he was given money, but I suspect he could have been given money. Either through his party leader, the Minister for Labour, or directly from the till. Yeah.
So by sponsoring this motion to impeach Rigathi Gachagua, do you think that has put a dent on the political path and future career of Mutuse?
Well, from where he comes from, it may not be so direct. But if it was somebody from central Kenya, that could have been a fatal blow.
A last nail on the coffin?
Yes, completely. Or the last soil on the grave. Yeah.
So your one word to Mutuse, now and even after this entire process is done, what would be your word for him?
Well, I would advise him to go slow. So some of these games are high octane. And any game that is high octane is likely to have some casualties. And it could be one of the casualties a few years down the road.
It could be consumed by this very revolution he's trying to spearhead?
Well, it can be consumed. Or, yeah, because you see, even every revolution has fodder. And fodder can be actually in live individuals. So it could be fodder from that once this issue gathers momentum, it becomes one of the casualties. Yeah.
It makes sense. We have seen a number of names being floated as potential successors and apparent heirs to the throne when it comes to the replacement of DP Rigathi Gachagua. Let's start from the Mount Kenya front. We've seen Anne Waiguru being floated, Ndindi Nyoro, Mwangi Kiunjuri, and also Kithure Kindiki. Whom do you think has the bread and butter to replace Rigathi Gachagua?
From the mountain, apart from Kithure Kindiki, which is east of the mountain, I think the other individuals, unless Ndindi Nyoro may have the requisite gravitas to create some kind of rapprochement with members of parliament, and also make the mountain feel it is not abandoned. But I can assure you, unless anything short of a miracle, this Rigathi Gachagua impeachment is likely to be very costly to the Kenya Kwanza regime, and the possibility of William not making it a second term. Yeah.
For Ndindi Nyoro, he was the same gentleman who was used to tame Uhuru Kenyatta. And this is why we've seen many going bare knuckles on those who are used to suppress Uhuru Kenyatta's influence in Mount Kenya national politics.
Yes.
Don't you think that will already be a minus for Ndindi Nyoro when it comes to how people will chum up to this replacement thing?
I do not know, but I suspect he has better PR than most other guys, both in terms of the local politics and even in national appeal, given the fact that he's much younger than many of the other individuals and appears to be somebody who has a stand of his own. That may give him a few longer points. But my own suspicion is that it may actually move away from the mountain.
It could?
It could go to Western, it can go to Nyanza.
Talking of Nyanza, we've seen Gladys Wanga, the governor's name being fronted for that replacement.
Yeah.
Do you think it could go Wanga's way, and especially when it comes to the gender card that many are warming up to?
I don't know, because if I was the president, sincerely, I will not just give to somebody who runs the risk of losing a position they are holding as of now. I would be very blunt. I would give to Musalia Mudavadi and make Kindiki the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
And they're now Prime
CS. Yes. So that you maintain part of the mountain. Because eventually I see the west of the mountain will move away from William. The eastern part of the mountain, I'm yet to know, depending on the chances of Kalonzo being in the ticket. So that is something I'm seeing. And taking it to Western Kenya will allow the president to test the waters for the next 3 years to see whether that Western alliance is going to work better for him or he needs another matrix that will allow him to have some good support. Because this foundation is shaken. You see, when you lose 47%, or if you destabilize 47%, which is about 50% of your votes, and that was the single most important block. The Rift Valley block still remains with him, although he has reduced support compared to the year to 2022.
In under 2 years, he's already lost part of the support from Rift Valley?
Yes, but marginal.
Marginal. Makes sense.
Yeah, marginal. Marginal, but and they seem to realize the stories were not genuine. So that's the challenge that he has. Yeah.
So this Kufa Makanga Kufa Dereva impeach board could actually set premise for a mother of all protest before 2027, or at least bring forth a huge wave of change like what happened in 2002, because some are still not okay with President Ruto remaining on the seat when Gachagua is out of the table.
It depends on the arrangements that will take place both in the government and the opposition. When it comes to the government, it depends on how they will manage resources, how they will structure deals going forward. When it comes to the people in the opposition, it will depend on how they coalesce together. Because the year 2002 was not just an event. It was a process that started about 2 years before. And in that year, there were 3 events that took place that are worth mentioning.
Sure.
In June, we came together as NAK and we agreed we are going to have one team. And that took a bit of a process. We went to Abadeas, we went to Nakuru, all over the country, trying to bond as members from the 3 political parties, one led by Mwai Kibaki DP, the late Wamala wa Kijana, Fort Kenya, and Mheshimiwa Charity Ngilu, NPK. So eventually on 18th of September, we agreed that Kibaki was going to be our presidential candidate with his running mate as Wamala wa Kijana and Charity Ngilu as Prime Minister designate. Then KANU went to Kasarani and their team was fractured, where Raila, Saitoti, Mudi Awori, the late Kamodho, moved out of KANU under the arrangement of LDP. And we met and agreed now to form the National Rainbow Coalition and formed the government subsequent to that. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So those are the events that took place. So this one also, we need to get those milestones. People coming together, moving out of Azimio, forming another outfit, moving and moving and moving.
So it will be a strategic build up to now the bigger wave of change.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be something that we should be a build up. Yeah.
This one we have seen legislator Sabina Chege, who actually voted yes for the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua during the voting at the National Assembly yesterday.
Yes.
And we want to understand, Sabina Chege was actually used to term President Uhuru Kenyatta way back in 2022. And now we've seen him voting for the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. When it comes to Mount Kenya politics, it seems Sabina Chege is now that fixed to put off the candle of Kenyatta's influence in Mount Kenya politics, and also now the threat that was Rigathi Gachagua. By putting off the candles of Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua, do you think Sabina's candle is going to shine so bright in Mount Kenya national politics? Well, also at a time whereby we are seeing Gathoni Wamshomba being so voiceful.
Well, I think this crossfire is too dangerous for any politician in central Kenya or Mount Kenya area. Those who will survive perhaps are those from the eastern part of the mountain. Most of these guys, whether it is Alice Nganga, Sabina Chege, all the way to Jane Kagiri. Jane Kahara voted no. And I also want to salute my sister, the member for Gilgil, Mother Wangare. Yeah, she voted no. It's really a sign of solidarity with the brother. Because we have polarized the country. We've gone tribal. And therefore, we are no longer talking of national cohesion. Even national cohesion to call somebody to account for certain crimes, real or imagined, it's no longer there. They should be calling on the president to be more unifying than he is today. Presidency has 3 roles: commander-in-chief, head of government, and the source of national unity. And therefore, national unity entails the ability to tolerate even the opinion that you may not share with somebody.
Unity in diversity.
Yeah, unity in diversity. That is a hallmark of any leadership today and tomorrow.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So for Sabina Chege, when it comes to future elective bids, should she harbor any, on a scale of 0 to 10, how...
She should forget she is now pensionable. She should forget and do other businesses. Perhaps what she has been doing. Otherwise, to go and ask for a vote in Muranga, no.
How about Gathoni Wamshomba, MP for Githunguri?
That is a national leader.
Not just a regional leader? She's now
national leader. She has wide acceptance around the country. Personally, I like her. We've not met, but I like her. Yeah.
You see
even now, I respect Rigathi more than then. He's a fighter. Yeah. He's writing at least history, whether he goes down or up. In fact, at times, let us think, if he went to court and the court upheld the position, not upheld, overturned the position that has been taken by Parliament, and also Senate perhaps may either impeach him or not, how will he work with William Ruto? A man who has no capacity to forgive.
Rigathi has said that he's going to fight to the end.
I like it.
That's the spirit you want?
That's the spirit. Yeah, in fact, if he was to resign, he should have resigned on Saturday. But right now, it's not necessary.
And on Saturday, when he addressed the press, I guess that was on Sunday.
Yes.
And asked for forgiveness from the president, members of parliament, and also Kenyans. Would you say that by then it was a shortcoming because some believe he danced too soon to the tune?
No, I think when you get through the circumstances that he has gone through, you change your mind so many times. Yes. I've never been under siege to that extent. But at times, the late President Moi used to put me under siege. Almost I had to hide in bushes and all over. But I don't think I was exposed to the kind of humiliation that Ruto has subjected his own deputy.
Sometimes you have to say enough is enough.
Oh, yes.
Enough is enough.
And life continues. Nothing is permanent.
Really?
You see, I've been telling you there is what I call temporary permanence, where when people are in a certain position of celebration, they think life is about celebration. Life is full of ups and downs, and I fear.
So Ishungwa Osoro Sudi won't have the last laugh?
Sudi may survive, but Ishungwa, his deal is over. He's also pensionable.
Silvanus Osoro maybe?
Osoro is neither here nor there. Yeah.
All right.
It's neither here nor there, because the kisses, I don't think they were for this thing or not. The people of South Migrango may still elect him, or he may want to go for governor, because now he thinks he's of age. Yeah.
Very lastly, sir, we are at a situation whereby there's so much economic mess in our country, and Kenyans are crying for us to address pressing concerns other than focus on political issues.
Yeah.
Would you say that the same guillotine that has been used to go hard on Deep Rigathi Gachagua should be applied when it comes to addressing real issues in this country, say public-private partnerships and other pressing needs that are sort of offending the taxpayers?
What worries me is that this regime has a knack for changing things, even things that are working. You've seen the so-called shift. Many people are crying, whether it's about dialysis, whether it's about so many other diseases, because the new system is not working so far. And why did it have to be changed? You know, a rose by another name is a rose. You don't have to call it another name, yet it is still the same rose.
Mwizi hana majina mawili?
Ni moja tu.
Mwizi ni mwizi?
Na wizi hutumika kwa njia kama hii. Because this is when things can be stolen.
Budgeted corruption?
Budgeted, strategic corruption, call it any other name. But it's corruption by the name is corruption, taking resources that don't belong to you, that belong to the public, into your own use. This is what is happening by this regime, whether it is Adani at the airport, Adani in Ketrago, Adani in Chief, Adani in Shah, anything is possible.
All right.
And as I've said, when you see some of these changes, and even under this cloud, perhaps some of those deals have been sealed without public participation. And I'm happy public participation has not been involved. That will be the constitutional kind of arrangement that will reverse all the things that the current regime is doing.
All right.
Yeah.
There
And some
are.
people will go to court. And some people will go to jail. Yeah.
All right, there you have it. That's where we take this show to a wrap, discussing a raft of issues that are dominating Kenya's political and governance landscape. As of today, how about we now cross over to this insightful segment that you all have embraced so quick and grown fond of, that is Heroes Corner with Honorable Kipruto Arab Kirwa. Waziri Mashujaa Day is fast approaching. Today, who is our hero?
Our Shujaa comes from Europe.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in UK. The lady was born 1925.
Just a year after our
After President Mo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were almost year mates. If they were here, they would have almost go to the same functions together. And she rose the ranks as a member of parliament all the way to the position of Prime Minister of UK, Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher. Her name then was the Iron Lady, because she was a strong proponent of the Western world, and also somebody who did a lot of reforms in terms of taxes. She reversed the taxation measures that were taking place, which had gone almost up to 95, reduced some to 25. And yet she collected more money than the money she was collecting when the taxes were high. She ruled Britain for a number of years as Prime Minister. Unfortunately, we lost her in 2013. She was a very strong proponent of democracy, both in the UK and also in Africa. The reforms that took place here in Kenya, she was part of the team that was talking about transparency. It was transparency abroad and transparency at home. She retired as Prime Minister, lived to pass on the year 2013.
So when our president talks about him trying to build a robust environment for democracy in Kenya, you find that he has more to learn from Margaret Thatcher?
Well, if he learns, you know, the challenge with our president is that the things he talks about, he does the opposite. I wish he could promise nothing, but do enough.
But
for every promise he gives you, ask yourself what is in it for him.
But he's the father figure of the nation. There's need for him, and it's one of his mandates to instill sense of hope. And only hope can come by also you declaring some promises and pledges.
You know, hope comes out of realization that whatever they promised has come to fruition.
So no more promises going forward?
No more promises. Kibaki told us something, I think it was April, that if you want to do something in December, don't tell individuals that in December, this is what I'm going to do as a minister. Tell them when you are doing it. Yeah.
All right, there you have it. Thank you so much for slating time for today's show, Waziri.
Yep, it's my pleasure.
Tukushukuru sana.
Asante.
Until we meet next time on Richard Mwenja Exclusive, enjoy the rest of your viewing. Keep me engaged on my social media handles at X, or on X at Mwenja Richard, and on TikTok at Mwenja Richard as well. Let's keep this conversation going beyond here.